As parents of a teenager, we have an interesting job of trying to balance being a parent and instilling structure, discipline, being a good role model, all that, and then being somebody that's there for them to listen to them. And now that doesn't necessarily mean being their friend. We don't have to be that. We can still be there for them. We can still connect with them. One of my favorite things to do with my daughter is go grocery shopping on the weekends. And we just do it every weekend and just have a good time and have conversation that is, necessary. You want to make sure that they feel comfortable with you to discuss different things if they come up. And it's nice to be able to talk to them. You don't want to, again, dump your problems on them. You're the adult and they're the teenager dealing with all these different things that are going on in their life and the different feelings and hormones and, scary middle school and high school stuff that's going on. So it's kind of cool to be able to connect with them, but they have to know that there's an ability for like some type of open door policy, that they can discuss things with you. I think a lot of teenagers and preteens think that they're never going to be able to discuss their parents, but what if you can? What if you can still be a parent and instill discipline and structure, trust, but verify? They got to make mistakes. They got to fail. And that's hard. As parents, we don't want to see them fail. We don't want to see them make mistakes. We don't want to see that happen. Obviously, we want to try to do the best we can to prevent like the major ones, major mistakes. That's the verify part. And as parents, you figure that out. And with teenagers, it's a shift, from each stage of a child's life. It goes from as simple as like their room isn't going to be decorated the same way as it was when they were 6. A lot of things that they maybe weren't interested in when they were, 10 years old. So and to those teenage years, it's interesting. It takes a strong person to be somebody that's willing to be open and listen and be there for them and care about what they're going through, because in their world, they don't know. As parents, we know we made it through. And high school and middle school and all that can be really tough to navigate. And depending on the school they're going to and the friend group they have and all these other different variables, but each day can be completely different than the one before it. They could have a great day and then just a horrible day. Obviously, as a parent, you want to protect them. You want to be there for them. You want to help them through it. But sometimes also they have to figure some of these things out themselves. So that's why I'm saying more listen. It's being there for them knowing that they can talk to somebody and then they can vent and then they can kind of open up. They're going to be able to do that with some of their friends, but sometimes they need a family member to be able to do that with, to talk to. So the surest way that you're going to be able to ensure that they will, come back to you and in the future feel comfortable enough is to really listen, and listen with purpose, that you're there for them and you're doing it because you love them and you care about them. That's the only thing that you want to be doing at that time. It doesn't have to be every day. It doesn't, and there comes a time and, a lot of times when they just don't need our help anymore. But a lot of times they'll come back and they'll maybe test the waters to see if you're still there. And if you're still willing to be that rock that, maybe they remember when they were younger. And you've done it to this point and you've gotten them this far and they care what you think. You can put in little points and talk about things, but the biggest overall thing is I'm not a teenager now. I'm sure that surprises you and shocks you, but I believe if I put myself in a teenage mind, they just need somebody to listen to them and they just want to be heard. They're going to appreciate it. And they may not tell you, and sometimes they will. Sometimes they'll be like, thank you for listening and all that, but sometimes they won't. And that's not why you're doing it. Like, you didn't have a child for them to say like, thank you. It's not like they pop out of the womb like, hey, thanks, here's a thank you card, thoughts and prayers, hugs and kisses, congratulations. No, they're crying, screaming, and yelling, and you love them to death still. So they came into this world not saying thank you. And, as teenagers, you can't always expect them to be completely thankful for all of it, but they need that. And that's an important part. And so if you don't have that ability to do it because of the relationship that you currently have, that you can reach out to professionals to see if they have advice. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a child psychologist. I'm not somebody that, can do it. I'm just saying based upon my own experiences and being a divorce lawyer for 15 years, I've talked with a lot of people about their kids. I think I have an interesting, view of what works for different ages. Everybody's different. So you got your own little set of circumstances that, you're going to have to deal with your teenager. And you just have to kind of tailor it to their situation to figure out how you can best be able to be there for them, to walk that tightrope of discipline and structure and, making sure that they understand your expectations for them, but then also being able to be there, not necessarily as a friend, like you're not like, oh my God, tell me everything. I guess that's one way to communicate, but it's not what I'm saying is like a friend, even though they may feel it's friendly, and you can still have a lot of fun. You can do a lot of cool stuff. Like teenagers are super cool. I mean, they can do, as much of the stuff that you can do with a lot of your friends. So no matter what age you are. So they're little people, and they're cool little people that know you really, really well, and you know them really, really well. But this is finding that balance of the listening and being there for them and being present in the moment. And then the other side of, kind of helping them down the path of, moving forward in the right direction. It's tough. This isn't, not a lot of like guidebooks out there because, again, everybody's different and everybody's teenager's going to be different. But number one tip is really work on listening and, furthering that communication. It'll be eye-opening when it works, and it doesn't always work, but when it does, and when there's that connection point, it's something that, everybody will remember. Thank you.